Good afternoon, Commanders. Anyone who's following my journey will know that I'm currently out exploring in a Viper Mark IV. I post updates in the Facebook groups occasionally, and last night I think I stumbled across something interesting. I think I stumbled across proof while I was trying to take this screenshot that the galaxy in-game is rotating, which personally I never actually expected to be modelled in. It never really crossed my mind. But here's footage from me taking the screenshot. I noticed slight movement, and then when I exited the camera and looked back at the black hole, it's a lot darker than when I entered the camera mode. Now, the light I'm lensing around it, the source disappeared off to the bottom left there, so I move up and right to bring it back. And you can see it gets a lot brighter, and that is kind of how I entered the camera mode to try and take the picture. Now that to me means that something has moved. But I was stationary, the black hole in this system is stationary. So I've just decided to recreate my approach here so that you could see what I was doing. I've come to find that people don't believe that you've done stuff on the internet unless you show them how it's done. So the object that we're trying to lens is to the very right of the screen now. It's quite close to Andromeda in the sky, but it is tiny and very distant. So the approach to it takes a while, you have to be very careful, otherwise you lose the lensing, and this is just my approach sped up by 8 times. And then you see the black hole starting to appear with us lensing the light from this object that is outside of the galaxy, which is the important thing. It's very small as well, which I think is why the change in light is so noticeable. Now, I slightly overdid it here, so I'm just correcting my position, moving us back down, until the lensing effect goes kind of nuts again, which you'll see in a moment. And what I'm trying to do is recreate me getting into the position that I was in when I noticed the movement before, to see if we can show you it a little bit more clearly than that little clip. So here we are, and I'm going to throttle to 0 so that I'm no longer moving. You'll see the dust around the ship stops moving in a second, and this is the kind of position I was in, and that is kind of how I was trying to take the screenshot. And again, you can see there is clear movement. It's even a little bit clearer here. And so I'm going to take a time lapse as well, which we'll see in a moment, just to prove that there is definite movement. There you go. Again, I think that's sped up by 8 times, so it's much more obvious like that. But you can see, I'm at 0. The black hole is not moving in relation to me. And yet there was clear movement. I posted my thoughts online in Facebook groups, and people smashed the doubt button. They didn't think it was real, they thought it was something due to the skybox, so I decided I needed to run a couple of extra tests. I needed to try lensing some light around something from within the galaxy. Now this system, as you can see, is kind of far out. There's no nebula or anything, which is normally what you'd be looking for to lens light around it. But I decided that the galactic plane is probably my best bet. It's still lens light, and if I go to the edge, it's not going to be quite so bright and might be able to pick out a little bit more detail. Now, looking at this, for me to be right, we don't want to see any movement when I come to a halt. So here we go. Throttle to 0. Look, zoom right in just as I was before. And there is no clear movement. You could argue perhaps a little bit in the middle, but I think that's just where I had my thumb resting on the stick on the controller. There just is not any movement. I'll drift the camera in a moment so you can see that this isn't just a screenshot that I've left in still. But there is no movement of the background at all. So it seems like my idea is holding up at the minute, I think. Now, also we want to run the test on something else from outside the galaxy, and we want to see movement again. So, I need to pick something else out of the sky. I did think Andromeda, but I've done that before, and again it's a little tricky to line up. But then it came to my mind, this blue object, which you can see from almost anywhere in the galaxy. Not actually sure what it is, but if you lens it around a black hole like this, you can actually end up with some pretty nifty and very blue screenshots if you go for the right area to lens around it. Just like this from a previous expedition. Nice. Anyway, yeah, so I show my approach again just to show you how it's done, but it's going to be sped up. And so what we're hoping for this time, this is another object from outside the galaxy. We want to see it moving to confirm the idea that the galaxy is moving. In-game, that is. We know it's moving in real life. So here's my approach again, slightly overdo it, so I'm just going to correct to get a little bit more light lensing around the black hole so we can pick out some more detail. And there we go, throttle to 0, enter the camera mode, and yeah, maybe slight movement. Again, I'll show you a time lapse so you can pick out movement, and there is clear movement of the background from left to right. And this is what it looks like in real time. Very slow, but there is movement there. So this seems to support my idea. All we've got is that I'm not moving, the black hole is not moving and in relation to me, and neither is an object from within the galaxy. And yet there is movement when we lens light from stuff outside the galaxy. Here's the system map to show that the black hole is not in a binary orbit with anything. I'll zoom right in on the orrery so you can see that there is not even a tiny little orbit line. This black hole should be stationary. But yeah, I think that supports the idea that the galaxy in-game is rotating. Let me know what you think.